My name is Rich Sorensen. I work here at the Ubuntu Coffee Cooperative.
My name is Kelly Widdowson, and I'm a worker owner of the Ubuntu Coffee Co-op.
The business is located in Emeryville, California, and we're on Doyle Street. Ubuntu is a coffee roastery, and we operate as a cooperative. That's our business model. But essentially, we're just like any other small coffee roasting company. So we buy beans through importers. We roast them here and then ship them out to grocery stores and cafes and individuals. And Ubuntu is a Southern African word. It's an ancient philosophy of generosity and equality. And we felt that that represented really well what we were trying to do as a company. And my role here is to do a lot of the production, but also I'm part of the administrative team.
My title is Corporate Secretary. I started with roasting, and I really enjoy production. And of course, I love to do the demos on Saturday, which is our tasting shift at the Roastery.
So Ubuntu Coffee Co-op is a worker-owned cooperative, which means that the workers are all owners and as well as board members. And so everybody has an equal say in the business. You know, the traditional scenario for a worker-owned cooperative is one worker, one vote, you know, so we all have an equal say in what happens.
I definitely got into working at Ubuntu because of my path with working in coffee, and I never really knew about co-ops other than Rainbow Grocery or grocery store co-ops or farming co-ops. And as soon as I started learning more about it and working with everyone at Ubuntu, I just really felt like my work was appreciated, and I felt like I wanted to work harder to have the business succeed. And I just felt like I wasn't like a cog in a machine.
So I started the business with the intention of forming a cooperative. And I brought in some friends who were interested, and as we grew the first year, we hired 2 people part-time, and then we started a process of having study meetings to introduce the concept of a co-op to the rest of the people that were involved, so that we were all learning and sort of arriving on the same page at the same time, and you know, with an equal understanding of what this co-op would be about.
So in the Bay Area, there is a great network. It's called the Network of Bay Area Worker-Owned Co-ops, NOBOS, and they had some meetings that were really informative, and also you kind of found that sense of community to ask other co-ops, because each co-op is different depending on what their goals are, depending on what their members want, how small, how big they are. And so it was really great to hear other businesses that were very different from ours but dealing with the same things.
So there were 3 of us originally that started the organizing of it 2 years before we even opened our doors, sampling coffees and talking about co-ops and so on. As we grew a little bit after we opened our doors, we brought in 2 part-time employees, and they worked for a year as part-time people. And during that time, we're involved also in the discussions about a co-op and if it was something that they were interested in. And then we began having more formal meetings, and they became members, you know, after that first year, and are considered, you know, the founders of the company.
Me and my coworker Jillian at Coffee Shop got invited to help roast and help with production. And so at that time, we were both always welcomed with the idea, if you like this and want to work here, you can become a worker owner, and there's a process for that. This was also right around the time we were drafting our bylaws, so I was very much a part of that and a part of the meetings, and I felt like my voice was heard and counted when we were coming up with more formalities for the Ubuntu Coffee Co-op. When I started here and I just liked the work and I liked the people, I definitely wanted to become a worker owner. So I did everything necessary that we needed to do, that we've set up in our bylaws to become that. But I was really fortunate to just be welcomed during the whole process for that to be the goal.
So we would meet here at the end of the day and get some food and sit around the back table, and we'd look at these documents and go through them and talk about them and give each other homework assignments, and you know, that just kind of happened over, like I said, about a year and a half as we started to craft our own bylaws, which is basically the document that a cooperative works on.
So as someone that was really interested in small business and how they work, I just love to learn all the aspects that make a business successful.
Yeah, so we're a sustainable business because it's important to us, and the way we've approached that is to become a certified green business here in the Bay Area. So we've been a certified green business since we opened our doors 7 years ago.
I thought it was really great that Rich, Ted, and Perry had not only invited women to learn the roasting trade, which I always felt was very male-dominated. And before working in cafes and also other roasteries, it was very hard as a woman to even be supported in learning to roast. And so something that I really found was unique about working in a co-op was when I had my daughter, when I couldn't roast anymore, it wasn't like, oh, I don't have a job. Everyone was like, well, let's cross-train you in this. Like, what can you do? It's really important to me and necessary that I am able to work while also being able to care for my daughter. Being a part of Ubuntu, and the fact it is a worker-owned co-op, is that everyone's voice is equal. You're not just following what someone is telling you to do, you have an input. It doesn't mean you always get to do what you want, but at least you have an input. And I just really want to encourage people and their ideas to be respected, and if they have good ideas and it works, great. And if it doesn't work, then we learn from that.
Co-ops are a very legitimate business form that I think provide great opportunities for people.
Something I see as a benefit about working for a worker-owned co-op is flexibility. I have flexibility with my schedule. Another thing I find really important and a benefit is the support I have from my coworkers. Being successful, it's really great to share that. And then even during hard times, it's also in a funny way good to share that too.
I feel like sitting around the table with my coworkers that my job is to make each one of them successful. And as long as they're thinking the same thing, then I'm good.
The values I really like about Ubuntu are a sense of fairness, a sense that everyone has a voice. Our bylaws are one member, one vote. So any decision we make, everyone does get a vote in it. Another thing about that is we're all kind of really conscious of recycling and not wasting, and I just really feel like a sense of respect throughout it all, which I have not experienced in a lot of other jobs I have had.
So we buy from cooperatives only. That's one of our rules. They should be organic certified or on the way to being organic certified. And then there's fair trade, which is another certification which tries to give coffee growers a more fair price.
My favorite part about being part of Ubuntu is definitely my coworkers, the values. Another aspect I really like about Ubuntu is the definition of the name, so the philosophy that is Ubuntu of human kindness and connectedness, and it can be said in many different ways, but I really believe that, especially in business, we need to be thinking about everything having an effect on each other. And some way I like to say it to explain to other people is my success should not be at the expense of someone else. And I am because we are. And I think that's a beautiful thing that I wish that more businesses had.
I mean, the word Ubuntu to me, and why I settled on that word, is that it personifies the meaning of a co-op, in that one of the descriptions of Ubuntu is a story that they tell, which is that if you were to come to my village, it's my responsibility to look after you, and by doing that I become a better person.